Today in this video, I'm going to show you how I make a Cuban style dish. That is the ground beef, which is called Picadillo in Cuba. And then this is called Mojo. It's like a garlic oily sauce that you can put on everything. It's good on everything. And then I'm also going to make some fried plantains.
Here are all the ingredients: the plantains, the green peppers, the olive oil, olives, raisins, garlic, onion, tomato sauce, limes, and ground beef. First thing you do in a hot pot is put in some olive oil. Then you put in one medium diced onion. Then you also put in one entire green onion diced. Now you just keep mixing and mixing until you see that the onion starts to look translucent. The next step is to add the garlic. I do add one entire head of garlic. I minced the garlic in the Ninja processor. And then you just keep mixing it until you start to smell the nice aroma of the garlic. Now just add some salt. And then it's time to put in the ground beef. So here I'm putting in 1.5 pounds of ground beef. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and cook that until it almost browns. And I am adding some cumin and some oregano right now. Now just make sure that you keep mixing and mixing. That way you can really blend in that oregano and that cumin. Here I'm adding a little bit more salt. And now you're ready to put in the 8 ounces of tomato sauce. Just make sure to blend it in really well. Now you're ready to add in the rest of the ingredients. So once that tomato sauce is fully blended, then you add 1/2 cup of raisins. And you're also going to be adding 1/2 cup of olives. Now I did add these olives that are stuffed with garlic. Normally you would be using the ones that are stuffed with pimento. They're called manzanilla olives, but these are just the ones I had on hand. So now once all the ingredients are in there and everything is cooking, just let it simmer for about 15 minutes. And that's it. This is a Cuban picadillo dish that I grew up eating as a child. Next, I'm going to show you how to make the mojo. So the mojo is an amazing garlicky olive oil tasting sauce that you can put on anything and it just tastes really good. Here I'm using 2 entire heads of garlic. I have already minced one that you see here in the bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and mince the second one in the Ninja processor. And then once it's done processing, go ahead and put it into the bowl. It's going to be a lot of garlic. Next, you're going to grab limes. I can't tell you exactly how many because once you start squeezing the limes on top of the garlic, the goal is to put as much lime in there that you'll see it sitting on top of the garlic, and you'll see it as soon as I'm done here. So yeah, just keep squeezing those limes. I have smaller limes than usual here, but that's probably why it's taking so many of them. But yeah, just keep squeezing that on there, and then you see when I put it to the side how it's sitting on top of the garlic. That's what you want. Now you add some salt and mix it in. Now, while you are doing all of that, the goal is to be warming up oil in the skillet. So I'm using olive oil. I was warming up some olive oil in the skillet, so it's going to be pretty hot because the goal is to add the olive oil into this mixture. That way it sort of cooks the garlic. So you have to be very careful. I'm going to put in just a small little scoop and you'll see how it starts to sizzle. But you have to be very careful. I do it very slowly to make sure that the glass doesn't break. So just keep adding it. You're going to be adding a lot more than that, but you just want to be very careful. But you still see how it's sizzling, and this is helping to cook the garlic at the same time. Just keep doing it. And then you basically just do as much as you'd like. I did use a lot of garlic, so I am adding a lot more olive oil on there. And then you just keep adding it basically to your desired amount. But you see it's still cooking the garlic. It's still sizzling. I normally just keep adding olive oil until I see that it stops sizzling. You can use mojo on so many dishes, and it's especially tasty on top of fried plantains. So here's what the picadillo looks like after sitting for a little bit while I was making the mojo. So you would just top this on top of some rice, and then my next step is I'm going to show you how to make the fried plantains, and then I'm going to show you the full plated meal. So here I have 5 very green plantains. You want to make sure that they're very green so they're not the sweet ones. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the oil that I used to make the mojo that's still sitting in the skillet, what was left over. And then I'm going to add more olive oil to it and let that warm up on medium heat while I cut up all the plantains. So this is how you would cut them, and you would do this with all 5. Now these are smaller plantains. I usually find bigger ones, but at the store this time they had these smaller ones. But yeah, you would do the same thing with the big ones. Just cut them up like that, and once the oil is hot, then you put as many as you can fit inside the skillet, and you'll see that it's ready to go and it's sizzling. So you have to keep a really close eye on it and kind of mix it with your spatula. Kind of keep mixing it so it keeps cooking evenly. And you'll see that they start to brown. So once they're fully brown and you don't see that white on them anymore that you saw when you were cutting them up, then that's when they're usually ready to, all of them, pull them out. And what I do is I put them on top of a napkin to soak up the excess oil. So this next step is the traditional way that my mom and my grandmother made tostones growing up. This is how I saw them making it, and this is how I learned how to make them. I grab 4 paper towels and I fold them where I can put the fried plantain inside, and you'll see here how I'm smashing them to form them into that shape. And then you just put them back in the skillet to keep frying. And you'll see that once they start to brown, that's when they're ready. Then you pull them out again and make sure that you use a napkin. That way it can again soak up the excess oil. So make sure you keep a really good eye on them, and then you flip them. Now it depends on how you like them. If you like them really crispy, you can kind of eyeball it to how you would like it. I usually like it in the middle somewhere. Some of them do come out more crispy than others. So check this out. Here's an up close of what one of the tostones looks like. So the traditional way of eating it is you would use the mojo I'm going to show you here, and you would put it on top. And yes, I took a bite of this and it is so, so good. I love it. I love it. It brings me back to my childhood. You have to give this a try. So here I'm making the plate. I am using jasmine rice, which is a long grain rice, which is what I used growing up. It wasn't jasmine rice, but it was a long grain rice. Then I added the picadillo on top, and then I placed the tostones on the side. And this is what the plate looks like. You have all your flavors in there. I'm telling you, this dish is super flavorful. You're going to love it, especially while you're eating it. If you add some of that mojo on top of the meat and the rice and on top of the plantains especially, it is super delicious. Here you'll see how we top the tostones with the mojo, and I mean, it is just amazing. My family loved it. Everything was gone. They ate everything. There was no leftovers at all. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you do have any questions, make sure to ask me. Thank you so much. Subscribe for more.